Hey everybody, this is a very concerning and interesting story out of the UK. This is British Airways, and 4 pilots have suspiciously died, and they are being very tight-lipped about it. And I wanted to cover this because we've been seeing a lot of people get blood clots, we've been seeing a lot of people have heart attacks, we've been seeing a lot of people pass out with syncope or however it's pronounced after their vaccines. And I'll show that in a second. We also know, and I'll cover this as well, that traveling via airplane increases the chance of blood clots. So pilots that are up there a lot for their job, they might be experiencing some of these symptoms before other people. Although other people are experiencing a lot of these same symptoms, it seems. Now we also have an example out of the US HHS VARS system, the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, where a pilot reported almost passing out behind the wheel of the airplane. So we're going to cover all this and more. Let's dive right in. This is Jillian McKeith on Twitter. She says, "This is a matter of public concern, as it involves the safety of thousands of passengers. British Airways, you don't need to give us the names, but we ought to be informed of the circumstances. When did these 4 pilots die? Exactly, and when did they die in respect to their vaccines? Were they vaccinated? These are important questions that we need to know. And it is of public concern. You know, they regulate everything about air travel. The government regulates everything about everything, practically. So why do vaccines get a green light? Why are they above scrutiny? I think we know why. So what's interesting is British Airways, with their rainbow logo, of course, for Pride Month. And just a side note, Pride Month has the word demon in it. I guess because they have a king above them, the angel of the bottomless pit. British Airways, though, has been going around on Twitter leaving the same message over and over again. Now, what's interesting is they always sign it. This one signed Chris. This one signed Julie. This one signed Helen. I could probably find more of these. It says, "Sadly, 4 members of our pilot community passed away recently. Our thoughts are with their family and friends. However, there's no truth whatsoever in the claims on social media speculating that the 4 deaths are linked. We hope you will understand that we can't infringe on the privacy of the families by commenting publicly on the individual cases of their loved ones." That's convenient for Big Pharma, potentially. So this is an interesting case out of the HHS VARS system in the US. You can see the VARS ID up here. Let's read this through. This is a 33-year-old man in the United States. And also I want to note, it seems like a lot of the pilots, the 4 pilots, they seem like young men as well, which I think is very interesting, especially because they say that men, and young men especially, have a greater risk of heart inflammation. So it reads, "I noticed a headache in the very top of my head within an hour of getting the vaccine. I thought it was normal because everyone I know say they got a headache from it. Over the next few hours, the pain moved down my back of my neck and became a burning sensation at the bottom of my skull. The pain was not excruciating, but was constant. I thought it would eventually go away. I'm a pilot and fly for a living. 2 days after receiving the vaccine, I flew my plane and immediately noticed something was wrong with me. I was having a very hard time focusing. Approximately 2 hours into my flying, I felt sudden and extreme pressure in my head, and I nearly blacked out. I immediately landed and stopped flying. 2 days later, I tried flying again, and the exact same thing happened after 20 minutes. So is this a commercial pilot, I wonder? Because they say immediately landed. Now, I believe there's like a co-pilot on each flight, right? At least one. Probably one. But there's always the chance, if this is happening in mass, that both people could be affected. So again, 2 days after the first near blackout, they tried flying again. The exact same thing happened after 20 minutes. Which is interesting because 2 days prior, it took 2 hours for it to happen. 2 days later, 20 minutes. It says, "The burning in my neck intensified and was now accompanied by dizziness, nausea, disorientation, confusion, uncontrollable shaking, and tingling in my toes and fingers," which are all things that we see tons of reports of in the VARS database. It says, "I immediately went to my hometown doctor and he diagnosed me with vertigo. So he got some medicine, prescribed for the vertigo. It says also between the 10th and 11th of February of this year, they had roughly 10 to 15 tests performed on him, including balance, eye and hearing test, CT scan, MRI, and they measured my spinal fluid pressure. Now, what's interesting is why weren't they doing these tests in the clinical trials? There's so many things they didn't study for. I would say the vast majority, probably 100% of things that they could have studied, they didn't study in these clinical trials. And my opinion is because they weren't looking for a reason to throw these vaccines out. They were looking for a way to green light them and inject them into people's bodies. Going on here, it says the physician determined on 2/11 that I had an allergic reaction to the Pfizer COVID vaccine that severely increased the pressure in my spinal cord and brainstem. Interesting. It says that pressure causes my vision problems and ultimately ruptured my left inner ear, breaking off several crystals in the process. I cannot fly with this condition. I cannot fly with this condition. Now, this is interesting as well. We've covered Bupa before. They've popped up because they say that they're not going to cover, and I don't know how common this is across the insurance companies, but Bupa says that they're not going to cover at this point vaccine side effect care because the vaccines are an experimental product. So this is Bupa UK on Twitter answering this person here, why Poyet. Look, Bupa also has the rainbow color scheme, Pride Month, Demon. So it says here, hi Ian, thanks for getting in touch. You remain covered following the COVID vaccine, although our policies don't cover adverse reactions for the vaccine. Well, why not? This person thinks it's because they know the consequences of a trial vaccine. And here's the letter that a lot of people have been circulating. Dear Redacted, thank you for speaking to me. I can confirm that side effects arising from the COVID vaccine are not covered under our exclusion for complications from excluded or restricted conditions treatment and experimental treatment exclusion. Now, I've got to give a shout out to Bupa for at least saying the obvious that it's experimental, thus invoking the Nuremberg Code, right? Also, I think, of course, that informed consent is a must, even when they are not experimental drugs, especially if they're known to be dangerous. But I do think it's ridiculous that the health insurance companies aren't helping people, the medical clinics and hospitals aren't helping people with the side effects. The big pharma companies who are making billions and billions, maybe even trillions, aren't helping people for the side effects. Everyone should be left to dry if they trust these cultists. It says, if you are injured whilst doing COVID-19 swab yourself, cover will be available while doing the swab yourself. So if you shove the thing up your nose and you rupture your brain membrane or something, I guess is what they're talking about. I hope this information is helpful. No, it's really not, other than the fact that you admit that you're not going to cover it and that it's an experimental treatment. Now, this is interesting. This is a post. I haven't been able to confirm this or anything, but this is a live chat, presumably with a member or somebody pretending like they're thinking about signing up to get some statements from that company. It says, thank you for confirming your details. I'm now loading on to your policy. How can I help you today? So, okay, it does sound like it's a policy holder, right? Post-vaccination, if I fly somewhere and have a blood clot following the trip, would I be covered? We would look to cover the diagnostic testing, but if the symptoms related to the vaccine, then the coverage would stop. The coverage would stop if the vaccine was related. So Big Pharma's not going to help you. You can't sue them. Your health insurance isn't going to help you. The hospitals aren't going to help you. They're going to nickel and dime you as much as they can because they're all about making money. Even though they're telling people, do it for the good of your community, go get the shot. They're not going to help you if you get hurt from the shot. I mean, they'll help you, but you'll pay, 10 times more than that help is worth, in my opinion. Probably more like 100 times. Here's an article from healthline.com which admits that flying on an airplane can increase the risk of blood clots. And you may need to avoid air travel for a period of time following the diagnosis of a clot. So our team of volunteers over on vaxpain.us are working on numerous videos. There's one that I'm putting out soon about car crashes and near car crashes. And it's showing people losing control of their body while operating a car. And of course, we've seen people lose control of their bodies outside of the car. But I think the car is an interesting situation because it's kind of like an airplane, right? You're operating a machine and navigating the world. So they just put out a new week of data. Every Friday, there's a new avalanche of VARS reports. But before the last Friday, yesterday's dump, there was like 69 matches that we were going through. But I want to show something here. This is the passing out section. This is our admin portal where we go through and we remove the false hits based on the key search words. But if I scroll down, we can see all these examples. Fainted, syncope, almost fainted, syncope. Syncope, it's actually, I think, pronounced syncope, but I like syncope better. This one says, patient felt dizzy, lightheaded, and passed out. 17-year-old man had syncope episode. So syncope is where you don't get enough blood to your brain, I believe, and it causes you to pass out. It's similar to that feeling you get sometimes when you stand up too quickly and you get a head rush, and you feel like you're almost going to fall over or pass out. This says, patient passed out 4 times. Says, I woke up and fell over, was dizzy until Friday. Patient experienced an episode of syncope within 45 seconds of administering the vaccine. Oh, just totally unrelated, I'm sure, says Pfizer. But I could scroll and read these all day. 11,281 matches in the system for syncope and for passing out. Now, some of these might be false hits, some of these might be near syncope, but I think this is very interesting. Now, blood clots is another huge category that we're seeing tons of reports going into VARs concerning. And they've even almost tacitly admitted that these vaccines can cause blood clots. And this might be why we see a lot of these other issues too. So you can see as we scroll through here, all of the terms that are matching. But if we go to the bottom, it's 5,700 matches of blood clots and associated search phrases in the HHS Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. So I don't think it's that much of a stretch to think that these pilots are being placed in danger. Thus, the people are being placed in danger who get on these planes with these pilots at the helm. So I just wanted to put this update out there. I think we need to keep a close eye on what happens to these vaccinated pilots. This all should really be investigated, but they don't really want to find any reason why not to push these vaccines as safe and effective. So they're going to bury their heads in the sand and pretend like they don't see anything. It's crazy to me. And then, of course, the social media companies are going to ban people who say anything against the narrative, as they've been doing. But we have a workaround for that last problem. The website's called groupdiscover.com. We have a ton of videos in here. It's like thousands and thousands and thousands of videos. You can search through here. So I can search clots, find all the results on clots, sort by top rated, etc. This week, all time. We can go to the video section. I can view by top rated, this week, this month, etc. All of our member researchers can add new videos. There's video suggestions. And in my opinion, it's a really well-organized platform based on what content is the best, based on the member ratings. So the members go through and they'll watch videos and they'll rate them. So I can rate this 5 stars and I can click share. And I can see here there's conversation going on. Anti-Citizen says the logic. I have no words. And I can see who shared the video. I can click on their name, subscribe to those researchers. And then their finds will show up in my subscription feed whenever they share a new video. And I can also see down here that this person, Anti-Citizen, posted this message, and I can click their name and subscribe to them over there. They haven't shared any videos yet, but they've been watching and commenting, I guess. So check it out, groupdiscover.com. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Let's keep an eye on these syncope episodes. Let's keep an eye on these blood clots, these heart attacks. And let's keep our eye on these people who spend a lot of time up in the air where some of these types of symptoms can be exacerbated. So they're kind of the canary in the coal mine. Although we're seeing tons of reports, as we covered earlier, of people getting clots, people passing out, people having heart attacks, people losing control of their body, people shaking uncontrollably, people having strokes and seizures, all sorts of things. Guillain-Barré syndrome, people having confusion and memory issues, miscarriages we're seeing, all right after their vaccines. Let me know what you think. And if you'd like to join our team on vaxpain.us, where we sort through all of these VARS reports and make them more easily accessible to the public by categorizing them and sorting them and reading them out, making videos, making other reports, send me an email, timtruth@protonmail.com, and we'd love to have you with us on this effort, on our team. So shoot me an email if you're interested. Thank you everybody for watching. Have a great rest of your day. More videos to come.